Greetings, everybody, and welcome once more to the Dracovin Empire. Are you ready to dive back in time? We're going to be going back into the history of Magic the Gathering and talking about another product, Commander's Arsenal, today. If you are ready, join me, your host and guide here, Tantanara Van Dracovin, as I take us back in time, learn all about it. Please do remember to leave me a little bit of a tip before we leave, and make sure you're subscribed on these videos. And make sure you do all the other little YouTube things. We'll talk about the comments at the end of today's video. Alright, let's get going. Time portal awaits. Welcome back to 2012. We're here to learn all about Commander's Arsenal. So this is a product in the Commander series. Commander's Arsenal over there. It was released in November of 2012. It was announced at a Magic panel at the San Diego Comic-Con on July 14th, 2012. This is where we're getting started on it. There's interest to talk about here in the product line of Commander series, as this is going to be both a unique and interesting product here, and one of its only kind. Yep. So, here's our symbol, which is something. So, this product was designed and developed by Mark Gottlieb, and Jeremy Jarvis was, of course, the art director. What did this set and product entail? 18 foil cards and 10 oversized foil cards. That's it. 28 cards. Yes. All right. Let's talk about this. Let's dive into this a little bit and understand here. So, first off, I do have to talk about some things here. Mark Rosewater basically wanted a new line of products that was conceived for the Commander format because we had just had the previous year Commander. The first set of Commander decks had just come out. You have to think about that. We are very early on in Wizards doing Commander products. This is the second mainline Commander thing they have done. And Mark wanted a product for Commander every year. And the future products would be more likely complete decks. But there was a big demand and basically some timing issues that resulted in what we know as Commander Arsenal. Basically, they didn't have an ability to get something out in 2012 otherwise. So it's a streamlined collection. It's basically Commander goodies, you can explain it as. That's what Rosewater called it. That's what we have to think about it is they had a big success the previous year. They weren't ready for something this year. They were going to be ready next year. They needed something out this year, Commander related. So the MSRP, it's not necessarily known. This is another one of those things that I tried to look it up, and basically it's kind of listed in a lot of places around $75. Again, a thing I couldn't confirm very easily, but because of the nature of this is release 2, it was an incredibly premium product for $75. And it was also printed very limitedly. So here's where the problem comes in. There were massive price hikes on this thing. Up to 4 times that MSRP. So this is something that should have been going for like a premium $75 all foil giant card set. Okay, cool, whatever. It's honestly some pretty good reprints and stuff there in that kind of thing and stuff like that. There's some reason behind the 75. You can argue for it in certain ways. Not perfect, but you can argue for it in certain ways. But people were selling it for like $300. And this disappointed a lot of players because it was very basically anticipated. It had a lot of really great cards. Even the oversized cards were not bad. So it was a mess. An incredible mess. Let's talk about what's included in it. This is talking about the oversized cards. This is like a little thing in the product here. But yes, we had the 18 oversized premium foil cards. Dive into them in a minute. We had them. Then we had the 18 premium foil cards, which some had new art, some had never been foiled before. Yeah. When you talk about things like nowadays with secret layers, where sometimes it's hard to judge the value of cards because some of them were never in foil, this is the same problem. They're never in foil. You do not know what the price should be. It also included 120 Ultra Pro foil card sleeves, so some pretty like nice card sleeves. 20 double-sided battle marks that had both +1/+1 counters and -1/-1 counters, and a life counter that went up to 99. All in here. Let's talk the oversized cards. And I'm showing off Sliver Queen here. In comparison, this is how big the card was compared to the normal Magic card. So, all of the oversized cards did have their original art. But there were some in the modern frame. Two in particular. Sliver Queen and Karn Silver Golem. This is notable. Sliver Queen and Karn are on the reserved list. Now, the reserved list is a thing in and of itself that we're not going to dive into, but basically it's cards they say will never be reprinted to preserve their value in the secondary market. This does get updated, revised, changed, these things. It does, over time periods, evolve. Basically, you know, and it's not to say that there couldn't be, like, possibilities for things that are removed from there, too. There have been cards removed from the reserve list. The last time there were a major amount of cards removed was in 2002. But because of that, it does not mean more won't be removed. Okay, we've now established that. These were on there. How did they get through this? They're not real cards. They're these big oversized game pieces. Of course we can reprint them. They're not real cards. You can't play them in their deck. They don't count. Yeah. Let's get into what these are. Now, there are other... We'll talk about the regular cards when we get to them. But, yeah. All right. Let's talk about our fake cards that are giant, but still there. I guess the important thing to say about the oversized cards are, too, is they're all cards that you might want to play as your commander. They kind of match with what happened in the first Commander product, where it had oversized cards of the possible commanders that they had for each deck. So that's why you think about these as, I should already own this card. I'm just getting these, so I use it alongside, or in place of, you know, with my commander. I can use the giant card. Interestingly enough. Though the Commander's Arsenal version of Sliver Queen is still like a... It's expensive. Yeah, the oversized cards, some of them actually have retained value. I'm really looking it up. I don't know why this retained $100 value, but here she is, Sliver Queen herself. I don't think we've talked about her since she originally came out. You know, 2 mana, put a 1/1 color Sliver creature token on the battlefield. A 7/7 for 1 of every color mana. She's part of the infinite combos, really a core of a Sliver deck. Not to say there aren't other legendary Slivers that could be used in a Commander Sliver deck. You probably would choose one of the group of them and then run with all the rest of the 5 color Slivers. Just to be gross, the one that fetches Slivers, you'd use that. Karthus, Tyrant of Jund we have in here. The Jund colors, black, red, green, 7/7 flying haste for 7 mana. And when enters the battlefield, gain control of all dragons and untap all dragons, and all the dragons you control have haste. It's a dragon stealing dragon. You know. We have Malaya, the Anima. So Malaya's interesting here because she's from Alara and would be eventually once again in oversized cards in one of the commander decks. So keep that in mind. A 2/3, that's a red, green, white. And for 6 mana, including red, green, white, you look at the top 5 cards of your library, put a creature card with power 5 or rest of the battlefield, rest of the bottom of your library in any order. Zora the Enchanter from Cold Snap, flying 1/4. I think it's Cold Snap. Whenever it attacks, you may search your library for an enchantment card with converted mana cost of 3 or less, put the battlefield. If you do, shuffle your library. There's a lot of things you can... I could throw Zora out here, use him to search up Reconnaissance, which allows me then to remove him from combat after he's already done his thing to search for the very enchantment that I got out, and I can then keep using him to keep getting enchantments out in an enchantment deck, especially cheap, powerful enchantments. Grim Corpseborn enters battlefield tapped, doesn't untap during an untap step. sacrifice a creature to untap him and put a +1/+1 counter on it. When he attacks, destroy target creature defending player controls and put a +1/+1 counter on it. There theoretically is an infinite combo pretty easily here with if a creature goes to the graveyard, even if it's a token, you get a creature. You know, there are combos with that. If something dies, you get a creature, and you can just basically, continue doing that. I guess you might have to have a way of tapping Rim to untap him. I don't remember how that would work. But there's combos in here, you know. And when he attacks, destroy target creature defending players, you attack him. Brian Stoutarm. He's the guy that flings things. 4/4 lifelink for red, sacrifice a creature other than him, deal damage equals power, target creature, he flings things. Galissa the Trader. Hi, Galissa. Weren't you nice in the Scars of Mirrodin block? The 3/3 first strike death touch. When a creature an opponent controls dies, you return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Godo Bandit Warlord. The 3/3 Human Barbarian. When it enters the library, search your library for an equipment card, put it in the battlefield if you shuffle your library. When it attacks for the first time each turn, untap an all samurai, and have an additional combat phase. Good in a samurai deck. Samurai Barbarian deck. Azusa Lost but Seeking. Play 2 additional lands per turn. We don't have to tell you why Azusa's good or not. And of course, Cardin Silver Golem, who we talked about. Whenever it blocks, gets -4/+4, and for 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature power toughness equal to its converted mana cost, which can be pretty good. So, we have the regular cards. These are just actual usable cards. They're all in premium foil, and most of them had never been released in premium foil. Basically, Duplicate, Decree of Plane, Mirari's Wake, Rhystic Study, Mind's Eye, and Command Tower. So, keep that in mind. Anyway, what I mean is, there were not only cards that had never been released in foil in this, there were also ones that were using either new art or previously released promo art as part of this. And there were even some that had not been in the modern format before. I'll talk about all the different ones here, but for now, we're going to go through the new art ones. Basically, these are art that were either new or had been only in promo before. Command Tower being here. Hi, Command Tower. You're the new staple of Commander. I don't know what else to say about it. High staple of Commander. A Decree of Pain. Art that was either, again, new or promo. Destroy all creatures that can't be generated. Draw a card for each creature destroyed that way. You can cycle it to give all creatures -2/-2 until end of turn. You know, some advantage there. Duplicate, which is definitely newer art with an imprint, enters the battlefield to exile target non-token creature. As long as the exiled creature is a creature, exiled card is a creature card. Duplicate has that creature's power and toughness. Creature types and still a shapeshifter. Mind's Eye. When I enjoy quite a lot. Whenever your opponent draws a card, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. You draw a card, I draw a card. Thank you very much. So, yeah. Thank you very much for that. And of course, we have Mirari's Wake, another one I do enjoy quite a bit. Sorry, taking a little bit of a drink there. With the, I believe it was promo art. Creature control +1/+1. When you tap a land for mana, add to your mana pool 1 type that land could produce. So basically, creatures get bigger, and you also tap for more stuff. Yeah, the last time this image was used was for a promo for Mirari's Wake. And then finally, Sylvan Library, which this is new art. And also, this is one of those ones that are now new in the modern format. Last time Sylvan Library was printed before here was in the older style format. I think the last time it was actually printed was 5th edition. So quite a whiles away since it had a reprint. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand, draw on this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life or put them on the top of your library. So basically, you still get to draw, but you draw 2 additional cards, and then you can pay life to keep those cards or put them back. And then if you put them back, you still draw 1. So if you can pay 8 life to keep both and draw a 3rd card, or you basically honestly can cycle out and choose the order which those cards go back. Actually, no, so you choose 2 cards from your hand drawn this turn. So you draw 3 cards, choose 2 cards, either put them back, or pay 4 life and keep one of them. Or keep 1 or 2 of them for each 4 life you pay. Yeah, that's a hard thing to explain. I can pay 8 life to have 3 cards, 4 life to have 2 cards, or 1 that I got to look at the top 3, keep 1 of them. With something that you can shuffle the library afterwards. Choice of 3 every turn. There's some very good combos with that. That's why Sylvan Library is fairly expensive. Anyway, it's here. It's in modern format. And it's in new art. This is the first time this art was seen. It's not the last time this art will be seen for other reprints, but it's the first time it's seen in this art style. Alright, let's talk about all the other cards. These cards may be new in the modern format, I'll mention that, the modern frame, and some of them, again, have not been released in foil, but these are all cards that have been printed before and are old art. We have Chaos Warp, the owner of target permanent shuffles their library, reveals top card of their card, shuffles it into their library, and reveals top card. If it's a permanent, you put it in the battlefield. So basically, you have a permanent, and either you can use it on yourself. Honestly, I can shuffle the crappy permanent I don't need, like something that came into play, gave me effect, like something that fetches a land when it comes into play. I can shuffle into my library and maybe get something else, maybe not. I could also do it to another player, get rid of their big creature, it's in their library now. Maybe you get something else, maybe you don't. Desertion, which is now in the modern format, wasn't before. Counter target spell. If it's an artifact or creature that's countered, you put it in the battlefield under your control instead of its owner's graveyard. So as you counter it, if it's an artifact creature, you steal it. Diochan, Artful Beauty, who's last seen in Portal 3 Kingdoms, where it's over $100. A lot cheaper here, $20. Tap, destroy target creature of your choice, then destroy target creature of an opponent's choice. Activate this ability or during your turn before attackers are declared. Interesting thing of trading creatures. Dragon Lair Spider, a 5/6 reach. When an opponent casts a spell, you get an insect creature token. Some of the less mean, basically, I get something for you casting spells. But still pretty powerful in Commander. Edric, Spy Master of Trest. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may draw a card. So, this is from the previously Commander set. One of the optional commanders. Being printed here. One of the 2-color commands. If you want to try to change the deck around. Basically, a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may draw a card. Interesting enough. Polly of the Vast, commander, one of the decks, one of my favorites. When it attacks an opponent, you put an angel, demon, or dragon from your hand on the battlefield tapped, attacking that opponent. 2/2 fly. Hi, Kalia. Loyal Retainers, which is now in the new modern format. Again, another one of those ones that hadn't been printed out before. Another one from Portal 3 Kingdoms. Hi, kitty kitty. You sacrifice a return target legendary card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this only during your turn before attackers are declared. You switch it for a legendary. Onto the battlefield. Maelstrom Wanderer. Hi, Maelstrom Wanderer. Creature control of haste. And it cascades twice. Yep. Good old Maelstrom Wanderer. Interestingly enough, this one was originally in Plane Chase 2012. Yes, this was a unique one from Plane Chase, so that's why it's good to get a reprint of any kind. And Rhystic Study. This was the first time Rhystic Study was printed in the modern format. Interestingly enough. Now, it's Rhystic Study. It is a pretty heavy staple in a lot of Commander Blue decks. For very good reasons. And it is very expensive nowadays because of that. I wonder how many I have. They were common in common back in Prophecy. I probably have a lot of them. Very expensive now because of Commander. Thanks, Commander. And rare now because of Commander. Thanks, Commander. But yes, there was a Ristic study, and this is the first time it will appear in modern format. Post here, this is the first time it appeared in modern format. Scroll Rack. Hi, Scroll Rack. Exile any cards from your hand face down. I'm sorry, I didn't explain Ristic Study. An opponent casts a spell, you draw a card unless they pay 1. Yeah, Ristic Study. It's powerful. Again, it's one of those ones that I probably shouldn't have to explain, but I kind of will there. But exile any number of cards from your hand face down. Put that many cards from the top of your library in your hand. Then put the then look at the exile cards and put them on the top of your library in any order. This is basically, I can shift out a bunch of cards from my hand to the top of my library. If it's stuff that I don't need right now or I don't want, I can switch it for stuff on the top of my library. Scroll Rack has some uses. It's a very interesting card that way, and it does have some price because of that in most of the formats it's at. And even Commander's Arsenal, it has some price. But this is another one this is the first time it was printed in the more modern format. First of perhaps many. Similarly, from Commander 2011, Mimeoplasm, another one of the basically oversized commanders now in small version. Enters the battlefield, exile 2 creatures from graveyards. If you do, it enters as a copy of one of those cards and a number of +1/+1 counters equal to the power of the other card. You exile 2 things, one creature with big power and the other without it too. Anyway, and then finally we have, of course, Bella, the Nightclad, originally and also Plane Chase 2012. So another one that finds a reprint here from something that was a supplementary product. I mean, she's legal in Commander, Vintage, Legacy, and technically Oathbreaker. But again, being legal in Commander, having more copies of her is good. She's a 4/4 Intimidate. Other creatures you control have Intimidate, meaning they have to be blocked with a creature that shares a color or artifact. And whenever it or another creature you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. In a black-blue deck where you're going to be sacrificing a lot of creatures, you may nuke your opponent's life totals, and it's really great in Commander that way. Is it super, super great? No, but it probably has some perches, probably more than 99 than your actual Commander, though, I'm going to be honest, because it's a little expensive, but, you know. I can see some use of Vela here, of the Nightclad. But, there you go. There's Commander Arsenal. It's fine. It's not great. It's a weird product in a lot of ways, and it's a thing that we'll never see again. I think that's the important thing to say about it. This is the first and only time they do a product like this. And yeah, it's a quick and dirty product they put together. We need something Commander this year. What the hell can we do? Well, let's just do some reprints of things that people might like in Commander, and some of those big foil cards. Hey, we can include Sliver Queen and Karn. Awesome. It's this weird point in time, too, because, like, those big foil cards, they're neat, but they always were never, like, a thing. I think they wanted it to be a thing because they wanted it to be used instead of, like, just your card as Commander. Like, you would have both, honestly speaking. But, yeah, it's still very weird in a lot of ways. And it's also kind of weird that, like, the only one that, I'm not gonna lie, the only one that actually has, like, a lot of value, some of these are more valuable than their normal cards, which is, I think, weird. You know, they are more valuable because they're rarer than their normal cards. Some are about the same price, and then you got the Sliver Queen one, which is like $109 for the overcard cards. I guess, again, Sliver Queen's pretty cool and, you know, very good, and it's a version of it that exists. Unlike Karn, which is a lot cheaper, weirdly enough. I mean, the oversized one for Karn is like, well, $13. Granted, the Ursa Saga one. Karn being on the restricted list, the list it's on reserve list doesn't make as much sense anymore. Different problem. They really should update the reserve list. But Slipper Queen, yeah, there she is, front and center. Not a usable card, technically. I guess you're just playing Commander. Honestly, you could probably excuse, because your Commander's never going to be part of the actual deck. I could see you playing the format and using the Queen, or any of these oversized cards. Certainly in casual, because Commander's casual. So sort of like, well, I bought this kind of thing. I've got this version of Slipper Queen. I'll use this as my Commander. I could not use it as part of the 99, but yeah. Unless you proxy. There's things you could do here. It's weird. It's a weird product. It makes me think a lot, and it's a weird product. I think that's where we should leave it there. I'm going on a tangent of thought brain process just by thinking about this, because it is like just a throwaway, let's put something out this year. This is the 2012 thing. That's why we have a Commander from 2011 and a Commander from 2013, but we don't have anything in the middle. We got this. It's weird. It'll hold people off until November of next year when we get real Commander decks. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining me today. Please check out all the rest of my other content. Let me know if you ever got Commander's Arsenal in the description below. I don't think I did, because I believe those markups and that honestly $75 price was a little expensive for me. So this is one of those ones that I do not think I got. I'd have to check my materials. I have to check my giant oversized cards. I gotta be honest, I might have bought this one, but maybe managed to get it for not as much of a markup. Maybe I got lucky. Store that had it. I'll let people know. But yeah, check out the rest of my stuff other than that, whether you're joining me on YouTube, remember to do YouTube stuff, over live on Twitch. Hey, I stream a lot of this kind of stuff, and gaming and kind of those things. And of course, check out my social media for updates of these things. Discord is best. I'll link below. All right, everybody. Hey, until the next time we talk about Magic history or something other related tabletop, I bid all of you out there a deep and wonderful farewell.